With the Pokemon Day presentation happening and unveiling more exciting details about the future of this franchise, I couldn't stop thinking, God, this IP pisses me off. It's been an entire generation now of lackluster titles that have continued to sell as if people needed a daily dose of Pokemon administered directly to their veins just to survive. And I was caught in the crosshairs of this situation a couple years ago when I first decided to pick up Pokemon Shield. You see, Pokemon is the largest media franchise in the world. It's almost single-handedly responsible for Nintendo's absolute dominance in the portable space for generations, has a massive community spanning everything from competitive playing cards to video game challenges to anime fans, and yet, as of late, it feels like it's being treated not as one of Nintendo's premier franchises, and more like a B-list series that should be struggling to get by. Why is that? Nintendo usually produces all of their main franchises in-house, or they work with established long-term partner studios to bring their games to life. But with Pokemon, that's a little different. Pokemon, despite usually being depicted as just another Nintendo franchise, is actually not fully owned by them. It's part of a joint venture company called... just guess. Guess what they called the Pokemon Company. The Pokemon Company. The Pokemon Company is like a triforce. You have Nintendo dealing with management, Creatures dealing with various things like making the Pokemon card games, some spin-offs and providing the official models for Pokemon, and Game Freak, who is behind the development of the mainline Pokemon titles. This complicates things. All three partners have their own interests that need to be met. Creatures benefits from new Pokemon generations being created frequently and consistently so that customers will be regularly flocking back to storefronts to purchase new Pokemon trading cards, as well as ensuring a constant stream of work designing new Pokemon assets. Nintendo wants to ensure that the Pokemon brand remains associated with them and, most importantly, that it remains relevant. They also benefit from a constant stream of new releases, be it the anime or playing cards or games. As far as they're concerned, if Pokemon remains always topical and the sales remain high, they're doing their job. And finally, Game Freak, who seemingly doesn't fit in with the group. Being responsible for the development of new Pokemon titles, their interests lie in finding the middle ground between consistency, budget, and quality to ensure that new games come out relatively fast while not breaking the bank and providing the community with high-quality products. You can really tell which one's been burning to the ground as of late, can't you? This trifecta of powers had worked pretty well for a long time. When Pokemon was exclusive to handheld devices, budget and scale were automatically under control as the expectations of the public broadly lined up with the projects Game Freak was able to deliver. However, ever since the Switch's inception, we've seen a sharp decline in Pokemon's perceived quality as a games franchise. And that's not necessarily because Game Freak just got worse at making games. It's kinda the opposite. They've been improving. Games like Legends Arceus have given new life to once outdated mechanics, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was a bold attempt at taking the franchise forward in an exciting new direction. But ultimately, both of them ended up underwhelming. Developing games for the Nintendo Switch is a very different process than the old Game Boy and DS games. The Switch, for the first time ever, provided home console power on the go, and with that came higher budgets and longer development cycles. Game Freak, unable to challenge the interests of their other two partners alone, was left scrambling to keep up with an impossible release schedule they were never going to meet. That is, unless they rushed their products out before they were ready, of course. So what I'm getting at with all of this is, Pokémon Z-A is coming out for the Switch in late 2025, and from the Pokémon Presents trailer, I can confidently say it looks bad. It still looks bad. It seems like it's utilizing the same graphics engine as Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. A huge mistake! The textures are generally a blurry mess outside of the main characters and Pokémon models. And it's not just about texture resolution either. The quality of the artwork is downright deplorable sometimes. Look at these buildings with tons of the same repeated window model over and over and over. It looks like a PS2 game. How is that possible? A first-party Nintendo title? It hurts me bad having to be so critical of this trailer because it did show genuine improvements to the formula. The idea of a Pokemon game that fully takes place within a city is great, and the new battle system introduced is headed towards being everything I wanted. I'm sure the game will sell really well and have some new ideas that make it unique and fun to play, but I just don't think it's enough to elevate Pokemon to the heights it deserves. Just look at this. Here they're showing some new movement options, new ways to get around the city, and they look horrid. No animation to climb up buildings or anything, instead you just get a lazy teleporter. Once you're on the top, the view is bland, and don't get me started on this movement of this jump. Look, if I was going to break down each individual problem in this trailer, we'd be here all day. Pokémon is fated to be a graphically unimpressive and at times straight up bad looking game. Alright, I get that reality then. As long as the game runs well and is fun, we should be fine. But we're not fine. You can literally see the stuttering camera movements in the trailer. The official trailer, my lord. What are they doing here? We can only imagine how stuttery and bad this game's performance will actually be if in their own trailer they're already showing laggy footage. Imagine when the thing actually comes out. And I get it. Late 2025, post-Switch 2 title, they're going to market the crap out of this game as a played better on Switch 2 title, where you'll actually get a stable 30 FPS if you're lucky, maybe with texture detailed bumped up a bit, but that is not a sustainable strategy and will only work now because this game is designed for Switch 1 first and would not be advertised as a true next-generation game. But when that full shift towards next-gen does happen, Game Freak's problems will be exacerbated to a level never seen before. The Switch 2 will be able to provide PS4 levels of graphical fidelity and a whole new scope to Nintendo games never seen before. You can bet that the first new titles fully showing off this potential are being revealed as soon as April 2nd, both by Nintendo first-party teams and third-party collaborators. Where is Pokémon going to fit in on all of this? Without taking their time, really slowing down the productions of their mainline series and hiring a lot more staff, they're bound to be left behind. But even if they did do exactly that, Pokemon's problems don't end there, as the precise reason for us to be in this predicament in the first place is the Pokemon Company's reliance on other kinds of monetization, such as the card games, anime series, and especially merchandise. All of which would be affected negatively by a slowdown in Pokemon game production. Pokemon is much bigger than the games themselves. It's not as easy as just saying,
these developers are lazy and untalented.
This is a structural problem within the Pokemon Company that won't go away with a couple simple changes. So what do I think is their best course of action? Expanding Game Freak over time. A lot. And I mean a lot. No single development team out there is able to handle yearly releases without massive drawbacks, and splitting their already small studio to work on different projects is how we ended up with Scarlet and Violet. This won't be a process that happens fast. It shouldn't be. We've seen what overexpanding does to other game developers in the industry, but it must be done. And they need to have started it by now, or else Switch 2's new Pokemon iterations will suffer from the same issues plaguing their Switch 1 outings. Game Freak is currently at the helm of one of the best-selling gaming franchises of all time. They need multiple studios with triple-digit numbers of developers to handle the workload that's required of them. But not only that, they need further cooperation with the other parts of the Pokemon Company. They need to prove to Nintendo that a slight slowdown in Pokemon releases will be beneficial to the brand long-term. All that is assuming that Game Freak does actually wish to better their products and deliver a nicer, greater experience for their fans. Which might not even be the case, but I do want to believe that it is. Anyways, here's some of the stuff I'd really love to see in a future Pokemon game that's been given actual AAA treatment. The number one thing is better battle animations. Or like, have animations at all. When I use an attack, I want to feel my Pokemon's power being utilized, and I want the enemy Pokemon to actually react. You see how insane Pokemon battles looked in the Pokemon anime? Yeah, Kid Me's introduction to Pokemon was seeing this. Would you believe my surprise when I first played the game and it looked like this? Come on, that's no fun at all. I know they can't make them exactly as cool or bombastic as the ones in the anime, it's a different medium after all, but they could at least try. The whole point of Pokemon is getting attached to these little goobers and training them, seeing them get stronger. And it doesn't feel right to hit someone in the face just for them to sit there and wiggle around until the screen changes and suddenly they die of heat stroke. Expand the open world concept and make the Pokemon interact with it in better ways. I want to receive a side quest from a guy that tells me there are fire-type Pokemon causing havoc in the delicate ecosystem by burning it down. So when I get there, the stuff is actually burning down and I need to use my water-type Pokemon to fix the issue while battling the stubborn fire types and sending them back to the spot they're supposed to be in. I want to be able to use Pokemon outside of battle more often, and I want that to be rewarding. Scarlet and Violet dabbled in that idea with using Motorbike Fella here for movement, but what I mean is, there's an island with some items in the distance. I can't swim, so I take out my Glaceon and I spray the water into Ice, Breath of the Wild style, so that I can make my way there. I burn leaves to unlock passageways with my Charmander, I smack my Onix into some boulders and it unlocks a cave. I just want the world around me to feel reactive, and I want the Pokemon around me to help me traverse it. Not just give me one Pokemon that serves all purposes, one tool for every situation. No, I want to use the Pokemon I like to do things that are useful. useful. Okay, there's an enormous list of other improvements that need to be made moving into Switch 2 era Pokemon, like, for example, actual turning animations, wow! Or, you know, having characters do more than just sit there and walk back and forward, but we'll assume that all of those are getting fixed too from the higher budgets and larger studios. Again, assuming the developers are indeed talented and passionate about what they do, and have been given the resources they need to thrive. I really want to believe that's the case. Thanks for watching this video on a franchise that I desperately want to love, but will keep hitting me in the face with wooden bats. I'm hopeful for the future of Pokemon, and I'm excited to give Legend Z-A a try. Maybe this is the turning point they needed. Thanks again for watching, subscribe and share the video with someone you think would want to hear this. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye!